Welcome to Narrated by Abby. She was my best friend, my confidant, the person I told everything to, until she became my ex's new girlfriend. This video is a raw and emotional journey through the aftermath of this shocking discovery. Have you ever felt a betrayal so deep it shakes the very foundation of your trust? Today we delve into a story of heartbreak, friendship, and the painful path to healing when two worlds collide in the most unexpected way. And before you go, please support my channel by liking this video, sharing, and subscribing. Thank you. Now, back to this shocking story. My relationship with David had ended months ago. A slow, painful fade rather than an explosive breakup. We'd been together for 3 years, a significant chunk of my early 20s, and while the love had dwindled, a lingering sense of familiarity and shared history remained. We'd agreed to be civil, to be friends even, though anyone who's been through a serious breakup knows how much of a tightrope walk that truly is. I was still navigating the choppy waters of post-breakup life, trying to rediscover myself outside of us. It was a warm Saturday evening, and my best friend Aisha had convinced me to join her at a new art gallery opening. Aisha, with her infectious laugh and vibrant personality, was my rock. We'd been inseparable since college, sharing everything from career aspirations to late-night anxieties. She was the sister I never had, always there to pick me up when I stumbled. We were both Black women, navigating our lives with a shared understanding of our experiences, and that bond felt unbreakable. The gallery was buzzing with energy, a mix of vibrant art and even more vibrant conversations. Isha and I were admiring a particularly striking abstract piece when she nudged me, a playful glint in her eye. "Look who it is," she whispered, gesturing subtly with her chin. My heart did a little flutter kick. It was David, looking as effortlessly charming as ever, deep in conversation with someone I didn't immediately recognize. I braced myself, ready for the polite, slightly awkward exchange that was inevitable. As we drew closer, David spotted us and offered a small, hesitant smile. "Hey Lola, Isha," he said, his voice a familiar rumble. Then he turned to the woman beside him. "This is Simone," he introduced, his hand gently resting on her lower back. Simone turned, and her smile was genuinely warm, her eyes kind. She was a beautiful Black woman, with a natural elegance and an easygoing demeanor. We exchanged pleasantries, a brief, superficial conversation about the art and the crowd. Simone seemed lovely, genuinely interested in our thoughts, and I found myself thinking, well, at least David's found someone nice. There was no hint, no flicker of recognition, no alarm bells ringing in my mind. She was just a friendly face in a crowded room, and I quickly dismissed her from my thoughts, focusing instead on enjoying the evening with Aisha. The weeks that followed were a blur of work, social events, and a concerted effort to move on from David. Aisha was a constant presence, her support unwavering. We'd have our usual coffee dates, late-night chats, and even started a new fitness class together. Life felt like it was slowly but surely getting back on track. Then came the invitation. It was for a mutual friend's birthday party, a casual backyard barbecue. Aisha and I arrived together, laughing and chatting, ready for a fun evening. The party was in full swing, music playing, people mingling. I was grabbing a drink when I saw them. David and Simone. They were standing by the grill, laughing, and he had his arm casually around her waist. A pang of something, not jealousy but a familiar ache of what used to be, went through me. I quickly averted my gaze, not wanting to make eye contact. But then, something shifted. I saw Aisha walking towards them, a wide smile on her face. She hugged Simone, a warm, familiar embrace, and then turned to David, giving him a friendly pat on the shoulder. My stomach dropped. A cold dread began to spread through me. It was a subtle shift in their body language, a familiarity that went beyond a casual introduction at a gallery. My mind raced, trying to make sense of it. Why were they so comfortable? Why did Aisha seem so at ease with Simone? I watched, my heart pounding in my chest as Aisha and Simone continued to chat, their heads close together, sharing a secret smile. Then, Simone reached out and playfully swatted Aisha's arm, a gesture I'd seen her do countless times with me. It was a gesture of deep, intimate friendship, and in that moment, the pieces clicked into place, forming a horrifying picture. The warm smile at the gallery, the easy conversation, the way Aisha had introduced me to Simone as if they were meeting for the first time. It all made a sickening kind of sense. The realization hit me like a physical blow. Simone wasn't just David's new girlfriend. Simone was Aisha's friend. My best friend's friend. And then the ultimate gut-wrenching truth slammed into me with the force of 1,000 tidal waves. Simone was Aisha, my best friend. The woman I had just spent weeks confiding in about my struggles with moving on from David. The woman who had listened patiently as I recounted every detail of our breakup. The woman who had offered comforting words and endless support. She was the one. She was dating my ex. My best friend was dating my ex. Shock, disbelief, anger, a maelstrom of emotions ripped through me. My vision blurred, the sounds of the party fading into a distant hum. It felt like the world had tilted on its axis, and I was falling into an abyss of betrayal. How could this be? How could Aisha, my rock, my confidant, do something like this? The hurt was a raw, gaping wound, fresh and agonizing. The confusion was overwhelming. Had I misjudged her? Had our friendship been a lie? Every shared secret, every comforting word, every moment of vulnerability suddenly felt tainted, twisted into a cruel mockery. The betrayal was absolute. A knife plunged deep into the heart of our friendship. I felt foolish, naive, and utterly, completely alone in that crowded backyard. The rest of that evening is a blur. I remember excusing myself, mumbling something about not feeling well, and making a hasty retreat. Aisha called and texted, but I couldn't bring myself to answer. The shock had given way to a simmering rage, a feeling of profound violation. How could she? How could my best friend, the person who knew me better than anyone, betray me in such a fundamental way? The confrontation was inevitable, and it happened a few days later, after I had finally gathered enough courage to face her. We met at our usual coffee shop, a place that now felt alien, tainted by the unspoken. The air was thick with tension, the silence deafening. I started, my voice trembling with a mixture of anger and hurt. How could you, Aisha? How could you date David? And why didn't you tell me? Her response was a mix of defensiveness and what seemed like genuine remorse. She explained that it had started innocently enough. A chance encounter, a shared interest. She claimed she hadn't intended for it to become serious, that she had been caught off guard by her feelings. She said she was scared to tell me, afraid of hurting me, afraid of losing our friendship. She knew it was wrong, she admitted, but by then, it was too late. The feelings were there, and she couldn't deny them. Her words, though seemingly contrite, felt hollow. Scared to tell me? Afraid of hurting me? The very act of concealing it, of allowing me to confide in her about my ex while she was secretly pursuing him, was the deepest cut of all. It wasn't just about David, it was about the deception, the blatant disregard for our bond, the casual cruelty of her silence. I pressed her, trying to understand the depth of her betrayal. Was our friendship so easily discarded? Did my feelings mean so little to her? The conversation was difficult, punctuated by tears, mostly mine, and strained silences. There were no easy answers, no magical words that could mend the gaping wound. She apologized repeatedly, her voice laced with regret. But the apologies felt inadequate, overshadowed by the enormity of her actions. The reasons she offered felt like flimsy excuses, unable to justify the pain she had inflicted. The trust, once an unshakable foundation of our friendship, had crumbled into dust. Our bond, once so vibrant and resilient, was now strained, broken beyond immediate repair. The sisterhood we had built, brick by painful brick, had been shattered by a single devastating act. It was clear that our friendship, as I knew it, was over. The person I had considered my closest confidant had become a stranger, an architect of my deepest hurt. The days and weeks that followed were a period of intense emotional turmoil. Heartbreak, grief, anger, confusion, they swirled within me, a relentless storm. It wasn't just the loss of David, which I had already begun to process, but the profound loss of Aisha, my best friend. The person I had always turned to for comfort and understanding was now the source of my deepest pain. It felt like a double betrayal, a cruel twist of fate that left me feeling adrift and alone. Everywhere I looked, there were reminders. Our favorite coffee shop, the park where we used to jog, even the silly inside jokes that would pop into my head, they all brought a fresh wave of sadness. I found myself replaying conversations, searching for clues, for any sign that this was coming. But there was nothing. Just the genuine warmth and unwavering support that now felt like a carefully constructed facade. Adjusting to the changed dynamics was incredibly difficult. Social gatherings became a minefield. Would David and Aisha be there? How would I react? How would others react? The thought of seeing them together, happy and seemingly unburdened, was a constant source of anxiety. I started avoiding mutual friends, retreating into myself, unable to face the awkwardness, the whispered conversations, the pitying glances. My social circle, once so vibrant and interconnected, felt fractured. I tried to distract myself with work, with new hobbies, but the emotional turmoil was a persistent hum beneath the surface. Sleep became elusive. My nights filled with restless thoughts and vivid dreams of betrayal. During the day, a heavy fog seemed to cling to me, making even the simplest tasks feel monumental. I knew I couldn't continue like this. I needed to find a path forward, a way to process these overwhelming emotions and reclaim my life. Seeking support became crucial. I leaned on my family, particularly my older sister, who listened patiently to my tearful recounting of events, offering comfort and validation. I also decided to seek professional help, starting therapy to navigate the complex layers of grief and betrayal. It was a difficult step, admitting I couldn't do it alone, but it proved to be a lifeline. My therapist provided a safe space to express my anger, my sadness, and my confusion without judgment. She helped me understand that my feelings were valid, that what I was experiencing was a form of grief, not just for the relationship with David, but for the profound loss of a cherished friendship. Slowly, painstakingly, I began to untangle the knots of emotion, to process the hurt, and to find small moments of peace amidst the storm. It was a long and arduous journey, but with each step, I felt a tiny bit stronger, a little more capable of facing the new reality that had been thrust upon me. The journey of moving on was not linear. There were good days, and there were days when the pain felt as fresh as the moment of discovery. But with each passing week, with each therapy session, with each conversation with my supportive sister, I started to see a glimmer of light at the end of the very long tunnel. I began to understand that this experience, as painful as it was also a catalyst for profound personal growth and self-reflection. I learned invaluable lessons about boundaries, about the importance of clear communication, and about trusting my instincts. I realized that while I couldn't control the actions of others, I could control my reactions and how I chose to heal. I started to prioritize my own well-being, to nurture the relationships that truly uplifted me, and to let go of those that no longer served my highest good. It was a painful shedding, but a necessary one. Rebuilding my social circle was a gradual process. I reconnected with old friends I had drifted away from, and I opened myself up to new connections. I joined a book club, volunteered at a local community center, and even took a solo trip, something I never would have considered before. These new experiences, these new faces, helped to fill the void that had been left by the fractured friendships. I discovered a newfound sense of independence and resilience, realizing that my happiness was not dependent on any one person or relationship. And then there was the question of forgiveness. Forgiving Aisha, forgiving David, and most importantly, forgiving myself for the pain I had endured. It wasn't about condoning their actions, but about releasing the bitterness and resentment that had been holding me captive. It was a conscious choice to let go of the anger, not for their sake, but for my own peace of mind. It was a long and arduous process, but eventually I found a way to move past the hurt, to embrace the future with a sense of hope and resilience. The scars remained, a testament to the journey, but they no longer defined me. I was stronger, wiser, and more compassionate, ready to face whatever life threw my way. This experience taught me that betrayal, while devastating, can also be a powerful teacher. It forced me to confront my own vulnerabilities, to redefine my understanding of friendship and loyalty, and ultimately to discover an inner strength I never knew I possessed. It was a painful chapter, but one that ultimately led me to a place of greater self-awareness and peace. If you've ever faced a similar betrayal, know that you are not alone. Your feelings are valid, and healing is possible. It's a journey, not a destination, but with each step, you move closer to reclaiming your peace and embracing a future filled with hope and new possibilities. Thank you for joining me on this raw and emotional journey. If this story resonated with you, Please consider liking this video, subscribing to Narrated by Abby for more stories of resilience and growth, and sharing your own experiences in the comments below. Your support helps this channel continue to bring these important conversations to light. Until next time, remember to guard your heart, trust your instincts, and never underestimate your own capacity for healing and moving on.